Good afternoon, I'm Pamela Atkinson, and I have had the privilege of being a community advocate now for over 20 years. A week ago, last Sunday, my church group from First Presbyterian Church went down to the Rio Grande to hand out lunch, sandwiches and cookies. And whilst my friends were setting up the table and handing out the food, I walked along Rio Grande and then around the corner and down on Fifth West. I actually observed 9 drug deals in that time it took me to walk around there, and 3 to 4 people just shooting up. In fact, people were relaxed, and even the drug dealers were saying, "Hi, Pamela." And somebody said to me, "Hey, Pamela, are you and your police friends going to give us some help?" And I must admit that I'm really very respectful of the input I've received from homeless people over the years in terms of their hopes, their fears, and what they need. One of the things that has happened is, as the governor and the lieutenant governor and John Pierpoint and the speaker and others have been having these planning meetings, I have been able to be involved and pass on the needs of our homeless friends. And I'm grateful that I've had that privilege and honor to work with many of my friends behind me. The difference now is that the people I saw who were so sick, some of whom were dying a week ago Sunday, are now getting the help. The whole plan was to let's take care of the lawlessness that's happening down there now while respecting our homeless friends. Every meeting I went to, people would say, "Well, don't forget the homeless people. We're not going to use force, we're going to respect their rights." And they followed through. Every interaction I saw with law enforcement and homeless people, there was respect for the right of that person. What I saw a week ago Sunday in the eyes of many people, it was sheer hopelessness. What I see now, in this past week and this week, I see hope in their eyes. They have seen that help is here because of the people standing behind me and many others who have contributed. As we move from taking care of the lawlessness and remove the criminals, we're now moving into phase 2 of the treatment and the services that are available. What we're doing right now is to enhance the love and compassion that so many of our homeless friends need. What they are saying to me this past week, in the evening at the soup kitchen and during the day, is, "Please thank everybody. Now we can get the help we need to take the steps out of homelessness." And this, although the first phase was very important, this second phase is very important. And as I've seen and heard the planning for it, I know that many people are going to be given their lives back, and they're feeling that love and compassion. And to see the hopefulness in their eyes is just tremendous. And it's because of the work that's been done and the work that's going forward. Has it been perfect? No, you've heard complaints. Some homeless people have complained to me, and the reason they've complained is their drug source has been cut off. And so they're saying, what am I going to do? So I talk to them about the services that are available and the treatment programs that are coming on board or that already are on board. So when people complain, we have to find out why they are complaining. And if it's because the drug source isn't there anymore, let's give them the option. A week ago Sunday, the option I gave the people who were taking drugs was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough. But the treatment, the Odyssey House, Human Services, and the many places that will have beds available, that is what is going to change lives. But it has to start with love and compassion and the strategic planning that goes with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pamela, and thank you all for being here today. Today really is an exciting day for Salt Lake County and for everyone who's involved in Operation Rio Grande. Today, we're ready to get into some of the specifics about the treatment actions that will go hand in hand with the law enforcement actions that are taking place in the downtown area as we speak. It's visible to everyone who has been in that area that many of the individuals who are there struggle with significant substance use disorders, and as a result of their illness, they find themselves buying and using illegal drugs and cycling in and out of the county jail. These nonviolent drug offenders need treatment and recovery support to return to stable and sufficient lives. So phase 1 of Operation Rio Grande has already moved a number of hardened criminals out of that area. We are now ready to offer expanded access to treatment for those individuals who are struggling with mental health and substance use disorders, those who are ready to get help. The news today is two-part. First, expanded treatment beds, and second, a drug court that will very quickly connect individuals in need to treatment services. We've provided two handouts that outline those in detail, so you should have those with you, or we can get them to you afterwards. But with those two parts, first, we have a proposed timeline and details for a significant expansion of residential treatment capacity throughout Salt Lake County. One thing we learned from Operation Diversion is that there's a shortage of treatment to meet the needs in our state. So the first handout that you have shows the service providers that will help us open beds as the funding comes online. You'll see familiar names such as First Step House, Odyssey House, who is hosting us here today, thank you, Volunteers of America, and House of Hope. These are the people who help individuals help themselves to recover, and I want to thank these people for their dedicated staff and for the life-saving work that they do in our community. Thank you to all of you. The second handout is part 2 of this announcement, and that is that we will begin a new specialty court that will be linked to the new treatment beds. You may recall that we proposed this court a few months ago as part of our original grant application to the state for Justice Reinvestment Funds, and I'm pleased that this court is moving forward. It was approved by the Judicial Council on Friday and will begin accepting clients in early September. Like our existing drug court, this new specialty court will serve clients through an evidence-based program that involves judges, case managers, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, peer mentors, and legal defenders. My phone's ringing. A key aspect of this court is that we will connect eligible individuals to recovery support quickly. For the first time, clients will be screened for the program while still in jail, and in under 2 weeks, they will be connected to a structured, carefully monitored treatment program. Again, we will build on what we learned from Operation Diversion. We saw in that operation that for many individuals with this illness, structure and supervision is necessary in order for them to stay engaged and complete their treatment successfully. So the flow chart on there, if you have it, shows the process, how this drug court works. Some of you are already familiar with the drug court and what that model looks like, but if you want more information on that, it's on the flow chart, and we can explain that to you in more detail. How it works, starting with the time of arrest. With the financial commitment from our partners, including the state of Utah, both in the short and the long term, Salt Lake County will be able to significantly expand access to treatment and to evidence-based programming. Ultimately, we know that how well it works depends ultimately on the individual client and how they respond to treatment and over what period of time they respond to treatment. Many studies have shown that it's a more effective use of tax funds to pay for treatment than to pay for jails. Not to mention the human cost savings when people reunite with their families and their communities to become productive citizens. So in conclusion, I want to thank Noella Sudbury, the county's Criminal Justice Committee advisor and advisor to the mayor. She's right back here. She has worked hard to pull all this together, leading our county team. I also want to thank Tim Whalen, Salt Lake County's Behavioral Health Division Director, and Rich Morrow, the Director of Salt Lake Legal Defenders Association, and Keely Grifoni, the Director of Criminal Justice Services at Salt Lake County, District Attorney Sim Gill, who's worked closely with us on this, and members of the judiciary, including Rick Schwirmer, Judge Skanke, and Judge Fuchs, who have helped over the last few months, and in particular over the last couple of weeks as we pulled this together and moved toward getting approval from the Judicial Council, and are going to help us to get this specialty court up and functioning in short order. Finally, I want to particularly thank Speaker Hughes and Senate President Niederhauser for their commitment to this work that matters so much to our community and our state. We would not be where we are today without the support and leadership of people like Speaker Hughes. So thank you.
Welcome to Odyssey House. I'm Adam Cohen. I'm the CEO of Odyssey House. Sorry about the heat. The addiction crisis has ravaged families in our community. We're thrilled state and local leaders are comprehensively addressing the crisis. Odyssey House is excited to be a part of the solution. We operate highly successful programs for teens, adults, and parents at any stage of their addiction. Odyssey House's expert staff focuses not only on drug and alcohol use, but on mental health, employment, education, housing, and medical care to ensure the best outcome. We're well equipped to create specialized programming for the specific population. Providing more access to treatment is essential to our community's success. Thank you.
Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon and provide an update on the law enforcement services that are being provided as part of Operation Rio Grande. I'd like to be able to tell you today that there's no drug transactions taking place in that area, but that wouldn't be accurate. We know that we've disrupted the drug trade in the area, but we continue to see individuals who are attempting to come in there and be able to move their product. So we continue to pursue them, identify them, and take appropriate law enforcement action when they come into the area. We also know that a part of today is really talking about the treatment aspect of it. And I also want to share that as our officers go and look at areas where we receive complaints of criminal activity or people in need, appreciate the fact that they have the resources available to them through social services and through treatment services to be able to take them with them and provide that assistance that's so necessary and needed. I also want to share with you before I give you the numbers and telling you that we're not pushing officers by numbers. There's no requirement on how many arrests they make every day. I had a chance to spend some time again on Sunday with officers from all of our agencies as they were involved in a shift briefing. And the thing that impressed me most is the fact that they believe in what they're doing. Their spirits are high. You would think that some may be not wanting to have this duty, but I'll tell you, it's one of those rare opportunities in a career where you can actually see that what you are doing matters and making a change. And it's because of all of the support that you see here in this room and out in the field working together. It's really unprecedented and something that I personally appreciate being part of. To date, we've had, and the numbers are based on up to this morning, 420 incarcerations as a result of enforcement action in the area. Of those, 99 of those took place over the weekend. We've also had, on Monday, 39 arrests that resulted in incarceration. Of those, felony arrests were 29, felony arrests with warrants were 19, misdemeanor arrests to date are 60, and misdemeanor arrests with warrants 194. And again, it's just not about the numbers, but it's about the quality of law enforcement that's taken place and the opportunities to assist people in need. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. Commissioner Squires, my new best friend, thank you. Thanks for the support of DPS, Unified PD, and everybody that is putting boots on the grounds to help us in this most important work that we're doing in the Rio Grande area. Look, we've always said this operation is going to be tough on crime. It is. We've made now 420 arrests. 99 over the weekend, 39 yesterday. That's impressive. Our whole goal was to rid that area of that criminal element that is taking advantage of one of our most vulnerable populations, those that are experiencing homelessness. But I also need to point out that there is great work being done on the compassionate side of policing. Policing in this day and age is about compassion. It's not always about taking somebody to jail. Now, we'll oblige those that really need to go to jail. Those that are going to go down there and spew poison, these drugs into our community, we have a jail bed for you. But we also have a compassionate outreach that goes on every day, side by side in that area. To that point, since we've started Operation Rio Grande, 72 outreaches, that is social workers and officers, have gone into the field. That's people that are camping, that are just destitute, that have no means. Outreach has been provided to 72 people. 339 people have walked through the front door of the Community Connection Center and asked for help. That's 411, which almost matches the number of arrests. So arrests and compassionate police work, they're going hand in hand. The shelter area. We want to make that a safe area for everybody. That is where those that are experiencing homelessness, that is where they eat, they sleep, they get the services they need. That is where they need to be. But if you're a criminal and if you're down there to commit crime, we will rid you of that area. That is our promise. Another thing, and I look at this as an opportunity for outreach. Camping ordinance. We've talked a lot about camping ordinance. Do you know how many camping citations or arrests we've made last week? 2. Every time we encounter somebody on the street that's camping, it's really an opportunity to engage them as to what you need to get off the street. How can we help you better improve your life? Get you to the shelter. Get your stuff into a place for your stuff, something the city has sponsored and something that we're providing for those folks. Get you over to the Community Connection Center. And Mayor, I have to thank you for your continued support. I mean, that truly is providing God's work to the people down there that really need the help. And so, a reminder, look, the parks. We have beautiful parks here in Salt Lake City. And if it's okay for a family to go to Sugar House or Liberty Park and spread out a blanket with an umbrella and a sunshade, that should be okay for someone experiencing homelessness to do the very same. But when they start pitching tents, lean-tos, constructing shelters, that is where we'll step in and basically say, look, we need you to take this down, but more importantly, what can we do to help you move on from this problem? So again, our overarching goal is to make the area of the Rio Grande safe for those that are experiencing homelessness, but also for the service providers that are working down there to do this great and important work. It's making a difference, and let me tell you how I know. Last Friday, 4 individuals walked through the front door of the CCC and asked for detox help, and they got it. One woman was helped to fill out a housing application. She had been experiencing homelessness for 4 years. She's finally going to get into a home. One gentleman that they had been dealing with for quite some time started work today at the Rio Grande restaurant. And I reported last week that there was the 20-year-old or 20-something-old pregnant female. I'm happy to report that she is now in the House of Hope, and she is getting the help she needs. And she expressed how thankful she is for all of us coming together to do this work. So thank you.
I hope you're as inspired as I am about what I've just heard at this press conference and as what I've been watching in this last week. Yes, there's a law enforcement component. I'm proud of the fact that there was a lot of work done in preparation of that. So some of the most hardened criminals, some of those that were providing and trafficking at the highest level the drugs into this area are sitting in jail today. You're also seeing now a climate where people can actually reach out and seek help and receive help that they've needed for quite some time. That's a comprehensive effort, and look, I am probably, as Speaker of the House, new to this space compared to the people that you see behind me. There's not as much institutional memory that I have, but I've been talking to people in this neighborhood, residents, business owners, people experiencing homelessness, and they've told me there is a calm and there is a sense of order that they've not experienced before. I've heard this from members of law enforcement. I'm very proud of the work that's been done to this stage, but the work is not over. There is so much more to do. In fact, the work that we've done now, the urgency is we need to keep this pace. We need to keep the structure of what we're doing right now intact and really help it develop out, because we don't want to lose ground. We don't want to see all the good things that are happening. We don't want to see that change. Now, over 400 arrests, is that right? Is that over 420 arrests? 3 incidences of officer-related incidences where someone struck an officer or something happened. It's the beginning of the school year right now. I challenge you to find the schoolyards at recess time where there's not pushing and shoving going on, to think that 420 arrests have occurred, and with some of the most hardened criminals in that area or in Utah, and to see the kind of reports that we're getting back in terms of the peacefulness of this effort. I'm very proud of our members of law enforcement and the hard job that they're doing. Lastly, I just want to point out that we've all been here in different capacities. The state has been wanting to fund smart practices. We have law enforcement that's been grappling with an issue that's been bigger than any one jurisdiction. We have a county that has services and coordinating services with the city and with those in that area for some time. But why were we not seeing things get better? I'm going to tell you right now that the answer to that is what you see right here. There's no credit, there's no blame, there is shoulder-to-shoulder work with policymakers of every jurisdiction, working hard. And these aren't easy meetings, by the way. They're not. This isn't a big love-in when we get going, but we understand how critical our mission is. We understand the crisis that we've been a part of and what we're watching play out. And everyone that you see here and the unsung heroes. You see this guy right here? This is the guy that got us our Medicaid expansion bill. $100 million brought to bear. Representative Dunnigan fought to get that bill passed. $100 million into this space is critical and really wouldn't work without it. He also volunteers his time with the Odyssey House in the CATS program in Salt Lake County Jail. I was just joking to someone, I only like this place because of Representative Dunnigan. He tells me all about all the good things and the miraculous things that happen for those that are looking to recover and seek treatment. So you have so many unsung heroes that have been part of this whole effort that we're engaged in right now. And I just wanted you to know that this service aspect, providing the behavioral health, the treatment beds, getting to know every individual story of the people that are down there is absolutely critical to the success of what we started last week and what we will continue to do for the next 2 years. So thank you, and I think we're all open for questions. So let me tell you, if we don't get phase 2 right, you'll see a backfill of the drug lords, the drug mules reuniting with their customer base. And we'll have had a moment of pause, maybe a moment of calm, but otherwise looking back at what we've seen, arriving back again. This has to be successful. One of the things that the state, and I'll let someone else answer maybe from a different perspective, but our Justice Reform Initiative, it's where we take people that we think are addicted to drugs, might find themselves acting or doing something in a criminal nature, but aren't criminals at heart, but are sick. We worked with the Pew Foundation to create a reform to really get people treatment and help that need that help. I will tell you, this is the epicenter for JRI, or Justice Reform. We don't get it right here. We don't get this part right here. This reform that other states are fighting for, that federally we're trying to see. I know even Senator Lee has been a proponent of this. If we don't get this right, I don't know that JRI has a long future in the state of Utah. This component of this effort is integral to the success not only of Operation Rio Grande, but really to justice reform here in the state of Utah. That's how important this is.
So we have had several calls, and what we've been asking the community to do is to report when they see an uptick in individuals in their neighborhood. We are trying to respond to that in real time. And so the sooner we get that information, the easier it is for us to not only send law enforcement out, but also our social workers who are part of our law enforcement team to go out with them and make sure we're making contact, not just in a law enforcement fashion, but also to do the outreach on services.
It has been said that we're just tackling the problem of drug addiction and what have you. Let me assure you that from the state to the county to the city, numerous nonprofits, we've been looking at the causes, the root causes of homelessness, the root causes of poverty in the state of Utah. And we have programs that have been highlighted, excuse me, that have been highlighted back in Congress because they're so good. John Pierpont and DWS with the intergenerational poverty that's going on throughout the state. We have the United Way that is working on how do we prevent homelessness occurring in the first place in the Granite School District, working with not only the children living in poverty, but their parents. So if you were to ask many people, they will tell you that the root causes of poverty and homelessness in the state of Utah, they are being addressed quite thoroughly and have been for a number of years. Thank you.
OperationRioGrande.utah.gov is now live, and it is a website that walks through the 3 phases. Also is a place for questions and answers, and a place for people to post comments and questions as well. And so we encourage people to go out to that site as well. So that, again, that's OperationRioGrande.utah.gov.